one of the things that my father was in the automobile business his whole life, ran a major dealership, a General Motors dealership, you know, growing up as a kid, you knew whether cars were selling or not, based on tuition and whatever things. But all kidding aside, I was, I knew, but I never had tried to visualize how critical the high-quality computer chips were for an automobile. And a significant part of the slowdown that occurred when it hit is inflation, the cost of automobiles. People are not buying them, also because they cost so damn much. There's so few of them. They're not manufacturing nearly what they were able to manufacture in the past because of the fact that there's lack of computer chips. But it's not just automobiles. There's anything, you know, phones, cell phones, a whole range. Whereas I found it interesting you talking about how, you know, on the fiber optic piece, that is moving. But how much of that do you think is related to the fact that we put in an infrastructure bill that provided billions of dollars for connecting the internet, for having the ability to access the internet, because we're making it available, quite frankly, with all the money we're spending to make it available to every home in America, every neighborhood. I mean, I'm not sure I'm asking the question properly. I think you know what I'm trying to get at. So talk to me about the difference, demand relating to where we fund it, and we're talking the fiber optics needed to deal with everything from solar to broadband in communities that don't have it now. I mean, one of the things I found was that, and the four of us have talked about this a lot, five of us have talked about this, is, you know, in the middle of the pandemic, going by a McDonald's and seeing a bunch of families sitting out there in the parking lot, not eating a hamburger, but connecting to the internet because they had no access to the internet, so their kid could get access to the schooling they needed. So talk to me a little bit about how much of this is driven by the inability to afford it, or the lack of desire to get it, and how much is driven by when the government is invested in it, it makes a difference. I'm not sure I'm asking the question.
I totally understand your question, Mr. President. It's a very good question. So the direct impact of the BEAD program, or the government effort to connect the unconnected, in this year, direct impact is very low. That really starts to come into its power next year. But there's also an indirect impact, which is the commitment of the government and of the administration to making sure we build the infrastructure that's required. Really does make a difference in the behavior of all the players. Yeah. So what we're seeing, though, is just strong demand from our carrier customers because they want to be the ones that connect folks. And they're building out 5G, new tech, which needs a lot more fiber optics than 4G. And then cloud computing also needs a lot more fiber. So those are the big secular trends. But I mean, we shouldn't underestimate the power of positive leadership on things like infrastructure. Solar also. You know, you're in the midst of passing a significant bill as we speak, hopefully, right? But if that goes through, you can expect that to trigger not just the direct government piece, but by providing that leadership, others will come in with much more serious money, right, to be able to magnify it. So it's hard to answer your question. It's a great question, but it's a very subtle effect.
Well, I think